Hey guys, welcome back. Part number 2 of my 24th scale Hurricane build. Last week we started the cockpit sub. This week we're going to finish it off. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, welcome back. Hope you had a great week, and we're going to continue with the cockpit. So, quick recap. So, part number 1 last week, we started some priming and pre-shading and put all the cockpit together, and we're in good shape to carry on and paint it now. So, again, did the pre-shading on the inside of the fuselage here and on the various parts. Now, if you remember, we did add the clear to the instrument dials, and now it's dry. You can see the effect. Hopefully the light catches it. See how it looks more like glass realistic. So the first coat kind of shrunk back a little bit, so I added a second coat, again with a toothpick, just dabbing the Mod Podge on, and really happy how it turned out. So that's the instrument panel. Again, the light's just going to catch it. It looks more glass-like. There you go. Cool. So what I have done is I've also painted a couple of parts in silver, the seat and the kind of floor right here. And I want something hard wearing, so I went flat aluminium LP38. Now put that on because we're going to chip it, and I will talk about it a little bit later. So that's one thing I've done since last. I forgot the thing. Also, since last week, I built the seat belts. Now the HGW seat belts were a bear to do. I mean, it took me a few hours, and it reminded me why I hate photo etch, and I'm never going to build a battleship because it was so fiddly. Let me get them and show you real quick. Okay. They look good, don't get me wrong. Now I didn't film it or show you guys how I did that because basically the instructions were terrible. I did best I can. They're probably inaccurate, but it's gonna look better than a photo etch for sure. And once it's on the seat, it's gonna add some detail. And obviously there's the lap kind of belt too. A couple of pieces off camera I've done as well. So there you go, tiny little photo etch brackets and stuff. It looks pretty cool, but again, the instructions were so tricky. I did the best I could and try to figure it out, but I didn't film it because I probably did it wrong. So yeah, I'm not the best person to show you this, but that's done anyway. I'm glad it's done, and that will go on once the seat's all finished. Cool. So painting it. So we're going to paint it a cockpit green. Now the instructions call for guns, which is 312, and the Tamiya version is XF71. Now if you look at the cap, it looks completely different. Now don't go by the plastic cap, because actually in the jar it's almost the same. It's just a slight shade difference. If you look there, you see it's just a couple of shades out, which is good because it's nice to have paint in slightly different shades. So we don't all uniform. We want to kind of visually appealing to the eye. So we're going to paint the main thing, the main cockpit areas, and all the framing and stuff in this H3112. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the seat in XF71, because in that case it's going to be a slight visual, shade or two off, and it's going to create the better kind of look and more accurate, I think, rather than having a monotone same color all the way through. So we'll go with this one and then do a seat in this guy. And again, it should be the same. And see on the bottom here, this looks like maybe a shade out or two. So it's slightly different, but obviously it just shows you don't go by the cap color because they're never any accurate at all. So that's the game plan. So let me paint everything up, including the seat, and on top of this guy, we painted silver, and the seat's going to be painted, all the framing and everything, and I'll be right back. Alright, so done with the painting. As you can see here, it's looking pretty good. You see the pre-shading coming through. That gives that the whole effect I wanted. It's a nice thin coat, and you get the pre-shading come through, get the wear and stuff. And there's these two guys here. So the floor and the seat look a little bit darker. Use the Tamiya on this one, because it's not quite as hard wearing as the guns. And I did this over the silver. So remember, I painted silver first, or actually flat aluminum. And then what I did was I sprayed it with hairspray. This is the cheapest hairspray, better. This is having to be Tresemme, but this is just a nice little kind of travel size, which is great for modeling. Doesn't take a huge space up. But your Walmart or your Asda brand, cheaper nasty, cheaper the better. So you spray it all on, let it dry for about 30 minutes. And then come back and airbrush your paint on, and then I let the paint dry for about, I did a coat and let it go for 30 minutes, and then it kind of wasn't really covering very well. It's kind of was really almost kind of chipping already without doing anything. So I came for the second coat, so that's why it looks really dark. So I did a second coat, and it's been about 30-35 minutes. So with a Tamiya paint, you don't want to leave it for hours. You want to do it before it goes fully kind of off and hardened. So about 30 minutes between each one. So spray it, hairspray, 30 minutes, then paint 30 minutes, and then we can do some little chipping. So I don't think I've ever shown this on one of my videos before, but super easy. Just so we've got hairspray, and what the point of this is, you can add some water. This is just plain tap water, and as you brush the water on, it's going to react and peel the paint away. So a little brush. I'm kind of lacking some brushes right now, so I'm just going to use this flat brush right here. So just going to dip it in some water, and we'll start with this one guy first, and then all you're going to do is just work at it. And maybe you do different areas, and it can come off pretty quickly, so you kind of got to watch what you do here. If you're doing like a whole tank, like a winter weather wash, I just use like a toothbrush and just go at it. Obviously with this, I want to be a little bit more careful, so I just want to take a paintbrush. And again, what's going to happen is it's going to peel away that paint and show the silver underneath. And you want to use acrylic paint for this, like Tamiya acrylic's perfect, because if you come do lacquer paint, it's going to dry too hard. It's going to be real bad to get the stuff to come off. So any extra you see I'm wiping on my finger, just get the extra off. The extra, just tap water. I don't want to flood the thing. There, you see how it's starting to come away a little bit now. Just work at it. And there you go. Nice kind of subtle, kind of worn look. Cool, so now I'm going to try the seat. Same principle, again, just some water. And I really want to chip it in the center, so I'm working on the center here, just working at it. Then see there how it's coming off nicely. Again, I don't do too crazy. And you know what? At the end of the day, there's a seat belts going over this, so I'm not sure how much you're going to see. But the areas get worn are obviously going to be the center and the edges. And there you go. This is a little bit too much, but there you go. Gives you an idea. So you can see the silver coming through the background and the paint chipped away. That came a little bit too much, came off my liking on this one. It's hard. It went a little bit too crazy, but once the seat belt's on over the top, you're not going to see so much of that. This one's looking a little bit better, more subtle. So that's kind of where we're at. So I'm going to let this dry, and I'm going to probably hit it with a flat coat, just because with that hairspray it's looking a little bit kind of shiny. So I just want to dull it back a little bit. So I hit a flat coat, and then start putting all these pieces together to build the cockpit tub. And then we can start adding the seat belts, and then look at weathering and that kind of stuff. So there you go. That's a quick kind of 101 show how I chip some stuff. Okay, so we're done. Built it, put it all together. This guy right here, I did a little test fitting, and you're not going to see it. So you're supposed to paint it red. I just went with the prime black. Again, you're not going to see it. And also confirmed you're not going to see behind the instrument panel. So all the wiring and stuff, not going to worry about. Now, this is a good base kit, so if you want to go to town and cut panels out and do that kind of stuff, then you can really super detail it. For what we're doing today, here it is. So let me kind of hold it closer to the camera, kind of see what we did there. Painted all switches silver, and looked at reference pictures online on Google. It's a real minefield because so many of these are restored, and they got like GPSs in, and they got all different materials. So it's really hard to get like a real 1940s kind of look and color to see it. So I kind of went the best I could. Little detail painting around there, and there we looking really nice. I think the Yahoo instrument panel is definitely a must-buy. It just looks fantastic. I hope you agree with me. Especially having those switches on and stuff. It gives it a 3D effect. The seatbelt just kind of glued it in. I don't know if it's even accurate, but hey, it looks okay. So there we go. So that's that guy. Painted the insides, and there's some parts here too. So you're dealing with a cockpit like way at the beginning, parts 1 to 3. But if you scroll through all the way through to like parts 12 and 13, that's when you're adding stuff detailed to the inside of the cockpit tub right here. So I glued them on. I just hand painted them afterwards. So I glued them on. Obviously painted it and glued these little greeble things on, and just hand painted. No problem at all. Not that you're gonna see any of that once it all goes together, right? Couple things to note. If you're looking for red, a great red for hand painting is Bloody Red 72. I'm sorry about my phone beeping in the background. 72710 Bloody Red. This stuff is a really great, vibrant red color. Great for hand painting. It's for the airbrush, but I hand paint air, Vallejo air stuff, and it hand paints beautifully. And you can see there, it's just a really good vibrant red for like, if you're using like fire extinguishers or anything, it's a really good red color to hand paint with. It's just a heads up on that one. So that's, we're all painted up, looking good. So what's left now is really just to give it a quick weathering kind of go on this. So what we're going to do is, firstly, the seat belts, I'm just going to use the panel line, Tamiya panel line accent color brown. Give it a really, really good shake because this stuff settles to the bottom. And then I'm just going to put some on the seat belts just to kind of wear it in a little bit. And, oh, too crazy. I put it all on the back wall there. Let me get a Q-tip. Any parts you kind of went a little bit too much on, just a Q-tip, just there you go, just knock it back a couple of shades. So yeah, so a little wash on the seatbelt. Now, a quick overall wash for the whole cockpit tub. I want a grimy color, so I could use Agrat Fur Shade from Citadel, which is really good. This time I'm going to use, you've seen me use many times, Starship Filth Aptai Lung. So make myself a simple wash up. Little bit of paint. And just some enamel thinners. And I want a little bit of a thinner wash, so I'm just going to add a little bit more. There we go. Just simply apply it. You see it's going to pick out all those wires and stuff. Then on here, that's the frame. And simple as that. Just putting all over the framework, and just, it's going to pick out all those kind of like wires and little recessed raised areas, and it's going to look pretty cool once it dries. So just leaving the instrument panel clean. I'm not going to mess with that too much, but I definitely go around like that and just kind of pick areas out and see already those kind of rivets, how you're getting, you know, really kind of brings out that detail. So cool. I'm going to let this dry for a couple of hours, and then we're pretty much done. We're going to go into one half and we can wrap this one up. So been a lot of fun with this one. Again, let's let it dry for a little bit and we'll come right back. Okay, so done. So got the cockpit on one side glued in. Now it's pretty easy to go. There's these two big boxes and there's tabs that just fit right into there. So tabs there and there just fit straight into that box, and that's where it's glued in. So as I mentioned, this guy right here was supposed to be red, but guess what? You're not going to see it, right? Glued on like that, you're not going to see any of it. So close up a little bit. That's how we're looking. So looking really good. You see the seat color is just a slightly different shade to the rest, which is perfect, what I wanted. And inside the tub, you see quite a lot of that open area there, and the instrument panel. So it's looking really nicely detailed. Cockpit tub. I had a lot of fun doing this. So there we go again. Closer look. The Yahoo instrument panel and the HGW harness. Again, I'm glad that those two little upgrades, I think, will make a big difference in the cockpit tub. Just kind of make it a little bit nicer and kind of really bring it up. The sidewalls and stuff, you're not really going to see any of that, really, are you, once it's all together? So there we go. One thing I didn't mention is talk about hand painting. So again, all these areas on the side here, I just hand painted. And my go-to brush right now, I'm loving, is the Rosemary & Co. Series 8. And this is a size 2. Now, it's one of those things, I talked about it before, brushes. Small doesn't mean it's going to be easy to paint with. A bigger brush, you get more paint on there, and you can paint tiny details with a bigger brush. You don't need like a 10-0 or anything like that. So this is a size 2, and I've used this for a few weeks now. I'm really liking this one. Again, Rosemary & Co. Series 8. And this one isn't very expensive either. This was, I think it was maybe like $8 or something, if that. But it's a really nice, sable brush, and that's what I use for my detailed acrylic painting in a tub here. Cool. So a lot of good stuff going on in this one. Had a lot of fun building this cockpit. Now we're getting ready to move on with more parts on the aircraft. And when we get back next week, we'll work on the engine. So thank you as always for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week for part number 3. Goodbye.